Hello,
How are you
everybody.
doing? Okay, there we go. Okay, now I can see you all. Thank you for joining, guys. So as I mentioned on the Discord chat today, I'm inviting a very special guest, Jonathan, and he's an amazing producer, composer, songwriter, and it is a great pleasure to have you with us. Thank you so much for joining this call.
Thank you for having me.
And today I just wanted to ask him some questions about his personal experience working in music, since he's been involved with it since a very young age, and
Mhm.
through all these years he was able to transform it into a functioning business as well. You built like your own team as well with Jukebox.
Absolutely.
You'll tell us a little bit about that in a bit. And overall, my story with Jonathan, I just discovered him because I was looking at the credits of a song that I really enjoyed, and I was just surprised. I'm like, wow, who did this? Because I really like the production. And then I saw his name, I followed him on Instagram, and then from there we just
The rest is
yeah,
history.
yeah, just start speaking, connecting, and it's again very grateful for your time that you're able to to share it with us.
Of course. Thank you so much for having me. I'm always excited to talk about music and people that are enthusiasts. So
Yeah,
let's dive into it.
and maybe you can tell us, in a few words exactly
Yeah.
what do you do? Like what's your day like? What are you specializing in right now currently?
Um, okay, so I'm a musician who had dreams of being a rock star and doing the band thing, and then that seemed to prove tough, band after band after band, and I realized I was kind of doing lots of the leading, lots of the music, lots of, doing everything, and then at a certain point after university and all of that, all of those experiences, I decided it would be smarter for me to just kind of lock down on producing and just using all the skills that I've developed from being in bands and help artists kind of like achieve their visions. So I'm producing. I've built a production team called Jukebox, and it consists rather of me, my co-writer Anwar, and our engineer Luke. And we've kind of developed a very efficient workflow where we work with artists and we get in the room in this room. I wish I could kind of pick my computer up and show you around because this is the exciting part in front of me right now. Unfortunately, you guys don't get to see that, but um, yeah, we get in here and the sessions, the way we like to do sessions is at least the philosophy that we take around making music is we make music with our best friends and or rather the best music that we make is music that we make with our friends. So we're as much as we're interested in making music, we're interested in connecting with people and making sure that we're a creative fit and making sure that everybody is, sharing a North Star and feels comfortable and vulnerable enough to talk about those things with us so that we can help them articulate themselves and tell them their stories in ways that get to the heart of the matter as opposed to being kind of because it feels like that's the stuff that really lands and really feels like wow, look what we did. So lots of the time I usually do. You asked about my day, so usually you know, my routine is usually I get up, I take my dog to the dog park and for an hour usually let her run around and then go to the gym, eat some breakfast, then come down here and then I usually have two sessions a day, um, 4 or 5 hours each. And yeah, so like usually each session is an hour of like catch up and chit chat and just not surface level chit chat, but just like just connecting um and just talking about life and what's going on. And usually it depends on what the objective is for that day. Oftentimes artists want to come in here and just write and explore. Other times artists have songs that they've written that they want us to come in and help with. And like depending on whatever that is, we will, adjust accordingly. But that's kind of how it is. So we kind of hang out a little bit and then it's like 50-50 or 60-40. I can't really figure out exactly the split, but of hanging out and making music. And it kind of the lines blur there. So that's kind of what my days normally look like. I have a roster of um, 4 to 5 regular artists who are always in and out, and then I have lots of other artists that come in from time to time. And lots of what I'm doing is full production, like ground up from the beginning all the way to final master. But there's also times where I'm just brought in to do vocal production or to just do, to record somebody for, and somebody else is producing it, and they just kind of edit the vocal and or whatever it is that they want me to record, and then send it off to their team, and that's that. But that's a minority of the work I do. Usually, it's all um, full ground up production stuff. Um, but yeah, that seems. I think maybe that's a sufficient answer. Hopefully.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Thank you. And I have several questions because of that. Like the first thing that comes to mind, how did you start working with, with actual paid clients? I imagine like from your band days as well, you had some friends
Right.
and you're,
Right.
making music together.
Yeah.
What was your, first steps to getting
Right.
those paid clients?
That's a great question. Uh, it usually starts as you find somebody you want to work with and you work with them, and you never consider anything to be free, but it's, you're splitting half the master or whatever the agreement is. Like, essentially you need to, well, to be honest, actually, the first thing I did is I connected with my mix engineer and mastering engineer, Luke Fair, who's brilliant. Well, we were both working in a music store at the time. Um, and at first it was, I wrote some songs for me, not to kind of be an artist, but to have something to show people, to have like, if I'm gonna eventually ask someone to make or to pay me to make their music, I better have something to show for it. So at first, it started with me just writing some songs. There were 3 songs that I did, and then I produced them myself, and then had my boy Luke mix and master them, and then kind of put them out on Spotify to kind of work as a portfolio. Um, that was the beginning, and then I started working with artists that I liked. I had some of them I had previous connections with. I didn't ask them for money. It was just kind of like, let's just do an equal split, or like whatever the arrangement was. It wasn't financial arrangements. They're just royalty splits, and um, I find jumping the gun. I have tried that too. Like jumping the gun and asking for money can shoot yourself in the foot. It's like a weird thing. The industry is weird this way because it's not like a, as you guys probably know, like a regular. Okay, you get a job and you do these things and then you climb the ladder. It's like no. Um, you have to be cool. I'm not saying I'm cool, but you have to be like uh people have to want to be around you. I find that's the most important thing. And then obviously make sure you're great at your craft so that the results can back up the whole thing, but usually people making people comfortable. So anyways, so I reached out to a few people that I thought were really dope and was like, let me help you make your music, I'm not going to ask you for money. Like, this is just going to be an opportunity for you to start getting stuff out there if you don't already have anything, and it'll that in itself will benefit me. So that happened um, for like a couple years before the pandemic, and then when the pandemic happened, um, it was a blessing for me. So I'm in Canada, and the government had gave out checks, like pretty much $2,000 a month for up to 4 months. And at the time, I got my manager at the music store offered me a temporary layoff. He was like, if you want to go and take the government money for this time until everything settles back down, and then you're welcome to come back once everything is settled. You're free to take that offer. And as this happened, I had done my very first LA trip in the first week of March in 2020. So I was there. It wasn't for me. It was one of the artists I was working with. She got invited to go out and do sessions, and she was kind enough to bring me along for that. So I wasn't producing or anything. I was kind of like an additional writer in the room, but I kind of had the experience of like, okay, I see. This is how people are doing things, and this is like this is the first time I'm getting to actually see someone with my eyes that's doing what I want to do, as opposed to like YouTube videos and edited stories and whatever. So after that trip, I was extremely inspired, and I was kind of checked out from my job at Long McCoy at the music store, not anticipating a pandemic or anything, but like I was just checked out. I'm like, my mind is on music, my mind is just on this LA trip and everything. And then my manager's like, yo, you're free to take this opportunity if you want. Go get that government money. It's not you won't make as much money from the government as you will from just staying on, but it's not the difference is negligible pretty much. And I was like, wait, I get to stay home and just I took it as I get to stay home and use this inspiration from LA and start this thing properly. And like this is my 4 month like buffer period with a safety net to do this. Yeah, absolutely. Up until that moment, I was always like, at the right time, I'm gonna know when the right time happens. It's gonna all come together, and then it made me realize that there's no, right time. You just kind of have to make a decision. Um, Obviously, once your skills are up to par, where you can hang in some rooms, and people aren't like, okay, this guy needs a lot more practice. But yeah, so I started that. I was working with an artist up until COVID, and then I was doing the songs that I said that I did for myself, which are no longer on the internet, so don't try to look for them. But it was that, and then as COVID happened, and I was working with a few people, I had a couple like of those releases, and then people started reaching out to me. I wish I could. I don't know how they found out about me. There was like a handful. There was like uh there were two artists, sorry, three artists that reached out to me, which I'm not even sure. I should have probably asked. I'm not even sure how they discovered what I was doing, but they reached out to me and they asked about working with me. And like I find the first time that feels appropriate to ask about money or like a financial exchange is if you're approached, because that says like, okay, this person has recognized something about what you're doing seems valuable to them and they're asking to work with you. So, I can say, okay, cool. This is my rate. Are you comfortable with this? Or what's your budget? How can we, the money question in music is always a challenge. Because you want to make the music, but you also want to get paid. But the it's obvious, but the music will make you the money, not the amount of money you make on a song. You know what I mean? Like so it's always about being for me, it's always about being flexible, especially if I want to do the job. Really don't want to take any jobs that I don't want to do. From time to time, like if you have to make some extra money, then you can just be like, this is my rate. And then if they say yeah, it's like great, I get my full rate. If they say no, I don't have to do this job I'm not excited about doing. So but yeah, the journey to getting my first paid clients was the question, and it was like during COVID, some of the releases that I had, I'm assuming attracted the attention of those people, and then we got in and we started working together, and it started to just become a flow, and we started to become friends, and they started to just enjoy being in the studio with me. And then the music was good, and it turned into regular work, and then or regular sessions, and then that just spirals, and then you have releases with them, and then those everyone who's connected to those artists starts to like have eyes on you and become aware of what you're doing, and then it's I will say I am like I have I'm the when talking lots about other artists' releases, it's like you get a flood of messages when when stuff isn't being released as much. It's like at least earlier in the journey, like around 2020, 21, that's when you have to do a lot more groundwork yourself. But um, that's I guess the journey to the first few paid clients, and then essentially you want to do whatever you can to put yourself in a position to be able to say no. That's really what seems to be the most effective thing, and it's like whatever it requires you to be able to say. Because if you have to take a job, you're gonna eventually, for me, I'm gonna start to, if I don't want to do a job and I have to do it, it's just like, yeah, okay, I'm doing music. Yes, I'm doing this thing that I love to do, but this seems like pulling hair, and I really would wish I could be doing this. And it's you know, I've had times where I've done jobs like that, and I'm like, it just it one, it takes way longer because I'm not excited about the project, and it doesn't it doesn't fulfill me. And you know, there's a balance, but like you want to essentially you want to do whatever you can to put yourself in a position to say no, so that you can just be more selective and do the jobs you want to do, and that's going to just lead to more. So
No, of
hopefully
course.
that,
And at the
yeah,
end, that what happens if you take a lot of jobs that you don't like,
right,
you just don't have enough time to actually invest like in, I don't know, promoting yourself or
exactly.
networking or connecting with people that are and creating those connections that can actually matter and make a difference in the long run.
And you're not even doing yourself a favor. Like like if I'm making music or doing, you know, projects that I'm not passionate about, and I'm either I'm not going to promote them, or um I'm going to promote them and they're going to continue to attract similar things. So like either way, I'm shooting myself in the foot here. Like if it means I don't get paid, I'm working on a project I love, that's the way to go, because then I can channel my energy and my passion into the thing that I love and be proud of it, and then you know, stand up with my full chest and be like, look what we did. And then anyone who is aligned with that, like I would rather attract those people and get paid less for a little bit, to because then I'll have a plethora of stuff that I like. And then once there's a plethora of stuff that I like and that I'm excited about, here are all the things I love doing and all the different styles and genres. And this is where I thrive. People are going to be like, where this guy thrives is where I need to, I see my growth. So I think so that's the deal. You have to kind of like put yourself in a position to be attracting the work you want to be working on.
And on that note, for me, what worked just recently, because I always tell my mentees it's like very important to showcase, what you're doing, to be always like, posting or I don't know, even just
Hmm.
like the artworks and sharing
Hmm.
whatever you produce or whatever you mix. It's super, super important.
Yeah.
And for me, like 2 years ago, I was mixing mostly like reggaeton, just because the biggest songs I was doing were in that genre. And
Right.
I decided consciously, I was like, look, I'm gonna share less reggaeton artworks on my studio profile, because I want to actually focus more on pop music and electronic music. So I'm
Right.
going to, switch and start posting more pop music, for example. And in maybe like in 6 months, my whole direction of my mastering changed completely towards pop music, because those were
Wow.
the latest posts, and everyone's like, oh, okay, so he does pop music. I'll reach out, to do a pop song, not like a trap hit.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly. And you start to establish your reputation. And if you're establishing a reputation in an area you don't want to be doing, like, you know, nobody wants
exactly.
that. So,
Yeah. And in terms of like how do you charge them? Because that's like the most
mhm.
weird part of
Yeah,
producing, specifically because for mastering it's easy. It's like, okay, I'll charge you like a fixed price, and that's
right.
everyone
Right.
pays the same. But for production, like
Yeah.
do you add recording into the process? Like do you have a certain limit of hours that you're going to work on
So,
for a certain price, or how does that work in your case?
so, so, um, um, so there's two ways that we do things, and one way is we do much more often. There's either a flat project rate, or session-based work. That applies differently for different artists. Most of the time, we end up just doing project-based work. We say this number here will get your project finished, regardless of how long it takes. Obviously, like one before we take on any clients or anything, we like to do writing sessions, like no commitment writing sessions, because one, we want to get to know you. We want to make sure we want to work with you, and you probably want to make sure you want to work with us before any financial commitments happen. So there's lots of spec work in that, but in that you get to know the person. You get to know if you like the person, and they get to know if they like you. You get to know if you guys are a creative match or not, because that's not, sometimes you might be great friends with somebody, but you're not a creative match with them. So like once we understand this is going to be a creative fit and it's a good vibe, like, and usually there's mutual respect in that thing, and people respect your time and everything. Obviously, the intention is we want this to be as good as possible. So this number will make sure that that happens, whether that takes 1 session or 10 sessions. If it's going to take 10 sessions, there has to be a reason why it's taking 10 sessions. If it's like I've had experiences in the past with some people that are just maybe perfectionists, I would say, whereas where it's like not like let's use this kick sample. I'm like, okay, now you know what? No, let's use this kick sample. Okay. You know what? The other one was better. Let's use that here. Like, okay. And then going back and forth on something like that, it's like, okay, we don't need to be wasting time here. Like, pick one. Both of them work. Just pick one. Like, this is not changing the integrity of the song. Like, we're not. This is a waste of time. But um, I'm working actually. I'm just finishing a project now that's taken the longest in a while, and it's I could have easily been like, you know what, we're at the point where the project rate we asked for doesn't make sense anymore right now, but we agreed to that, and I like the artist and I like the song, so we are gonna commit to finishing it, because like the worst thing to do is make a decision based off money. Like, oh, okay, you're not getting me paid. I'm not getting paid enough for this. The way this turned out, like I said earlier, the music makes you money. Like whether it's in the form of future clients or in the form of royalties or whatever it is, the music makes you money. So if I say, you know what, this is starting to be not worth it anymore for me, then I'm gonna send this artist one with a bad taste in his mouth, and two, a song's gonna get released that didn't have my full energy and my full, dedication to it, which is a shame. And again, as probably all of us here understand, this is not the business to get into to make some fast cash. Um, it's a long-term thing. So yeah, session based work, like I have a project coming up in a couple of weeks where an artist has her songs written. She's even demoed them out herself. Like there's recordings of these songs. She knows what she wants to do. She knows that she sent me a list. She's like, Monday we're going to be doing ukulele, we're going to be doing, vocals, this is the plan. Here is the recording. I just need it done professionally. Those sessions make sense to do a session rate. And essentially we just do, like, I don't do hourly because hourly, everybody's mind is on the clock and not the music. So it's always flat rates. It's either a session flat rate or a project flat rate. So it's like, you're coming in for the day, you've already committed, you're spending this much money. So no one's thinking about money anymore. We're just gonna we're gonna get in here and focus on the music. So session based stuff. People come in, they tell us what they want to do. They use me and my partners and our skills and our equipment to achieve what they want to do, and we help with creative direction if that's what they want, and that is a session rate. And then usually there can be either one, two, like there's a certain point where if a song starts to take long, which hasn't happened for me, then it would be like, listen, this would be better if it was a project rate. The other thing about project rates is overall, you get, or for me, or for us, we get paid less because of the hang. Like we prioritize the hang and like making sure like we're comfortable, and like there can be a session where no music gets made and we're just bonding and connecting and whatever. And that's losing money if you think about it through that perspective, but also it's building a relationship which is going to continually uh provide in the future. So technically, if you're looking at it on an hourly basis and you're saying, okay, this is like you're trying to check off this list of like what's being paid for. Look, the reality is I am undercharging severely, and probably most of us are. Um, but there's also the reality of the economy and the market and the people that you're working with. Like you need to work with them and their budgets and everything. So I find it important to set a standard and be like, this is the standard rates. This is what this is. That doesn't mean we can do it. That doesn't mean we can't do it for less. but understand whatever we agree on, you're getting at least this much value for it, just because it's not like it's not an arbitrary number. Like, it's you, like if you're just, I don't know where everyone here is at with their in their, their journey here, but like the first place to start is like, how much does it cost me to stay alive for one day? And then that you can kind of base your rates around that at first, and then slowly um build them up to whatever makes more sense. Um but yeah, wait, I'm losing my train of thought here. Was
Yeah,
that?
no, yeah, I mean that was a perfect explanation and very in depth. Thank you for that. I love your philosophy because I think that's what makes everybody comfortable. That's
Yeah,
so important. If people are comfortable, they're more creative. Better
right,
outcomes are guaranteed. No one will ever tell anything bad about you in the industry as
right.
well, and that's super important because at the end of the day, it's a
It's
small world.
small. It
It's
is very
super
small.
small, and
Yeah,
everyone's speaking and everyone's gossiping all the time. So
exactly.
so if
Exactly.
if they have nothing bad to say about you, only good things, it's just going to work out no matter what. It's like it's going, it will be
There's
hard
no
not to.
there's nothing more powerful than word of mouth. You can pay for all the ads you want. You can, do whatever marketing strategy. But word of mouth, like, is the most important thing. When you have somebody go and rave about you to one of their artist friends or one of their whoever, it's like, okay, well, that's like the most social proof you could ask for. Whereas like trying to, sell a campaign on Instagram or on social media, it's like it requires way more work, and all of it is work intensive. But like, yeah, you want to make sure you have a good reputation, not for the sake of the strategy, because if it's for the sake of the strategy, everybody understands that this feels transactional. You're just being nice to me because like whatever. But when you connect with somebody and you actually become friends and you're actually interested in one another and you have a curiosity about each other's creativity, that's what an actual for me. That's what an actual connection feels like, and that's when I make the best music. And it's when everybody leaves the room being like, "Wow, shit,
Yeah,
we did
so
that! Oh
cool.
my God, yeah."
Absolutely. And you also mentioned traveling. How important is that for you, and how do you manage, for example, like if you go to LA, what's your way of connecting with people?
Right.
Like,
Right.
what's your
Yeah. Great
approach?
question. Great question, because like that can be scary. It was very scary for me because sometimes I was like, I don't know, like I don't know many people, so maybe I should just focus here. Excuse me. Um like traveling, I don't travel often, but I did go to LA this past July for a couple of weeks, and I've been a few years back as well. Um the thing about LA in particular is that it's obvious that that is the center of the music universe, especially in pop music. So, the thing that seems to be special about LA is that everybody that I talk to, everybody that I ran into, seems to be serious about what they're doing, and that's regardless of their skill level. They mean it. Like I'm here to do this thing. It's like lots of people aren't born and raised, at least that I ran into, weren't born and raised there. So to get up and move to LA or even visit or whatever, it's like really putting your money where your mouth is, and people are ready to work and ready to collaborate and are here to do the thing. So um traveling to LA was like I was definitely worried and scared when I went again this past July. I was like, man, what if this doesn't work out? What if I don't do any sessions? What if nobody wants to work with me? What if all of that internal chatter. On my the way it worked out for me, I did a writing camp up in Canada here earlier this year in February, and I connected with a songwriter producer who organized that camp. He's from Toronto, but he's based in LA. Um, he heard some of the music that I was doing because he did a session with my writer, And then we connected in on one of the lunch periods in the camp, and he was like, "Do you ever come out to LA?" I'm like, "No, I don't honestly. Like, I've been a couple times, but I'm not like it's not like a regular thing that I do." He's like, "You should probably come out to LA." I'm like, "Yeah, I'm down. I'm definitely not down, but I'm just not sure if I know anybody." He's like, I can help make some connections and such." So I was like, "Okay, great." Wanted to make sure that anybody that extends a hand like that doesn't feel like I am exclusively using them, or like the success of my trip is dependent on them, or like I'm aware of that because I know people have felt like that before. I know I've made people feel like that before. Um, so I wanted to make sure that if I'm going to do this, I need to make sure that I do what I everything in my power to get things happening. And then if um this producer songwriter that I met is actually able to help me, I should consider that a bonus as opposed to like a uh expectation. So essentially my plan was like just start looking on Instagram for writers and producers and artists in LA that were making music that was interesting to me. And I was doing that, and I sent an ungodly amount of Instagram DMs. 99% of which are probably haven't even been opened, to be honest with you. But I sent from maybe March until July. I was like, some weeks I would be not doing it as much, but overall I was sending a lot of messages, and on the back of my mind just being like, okay, let me do let me do 20 minutes of Instagram homework right now. Let's see who's doing some cool shit. And then I would reach out to them, or, comments and whatever. Like the dangerous thing about it is like the industry, this is like it can be considered an industry move. So like it's important to actually connect with people that you actually like their music, as opposed to like this is going to get me in some door or whatever. So I was doing that. I sent a whole bunch of DMs. Um and I pretty, what did I have? I think before I arrived, I had one session set up, or I had one person agree to do a session on the Monday. I arrived there on a Sunday, and on the Monday, someone had agreed, or someone previously agreed to do it that Monday. So I get there, um, and it was I was worried because the connections that the gentleman offered me started to line up near the end of my trip. So the first few days of my trip were lots of nothing. And I was like, oh my God, did I just waste my time and money and energy? And like, oh, like this is because it's expensive in LA. Like, what am I doing? Wow, I can't believe I should have just stayed. But anyways, that's all the internal chatter. And then I went to events, and I started making friends, or started just talking to people. I went to shows, the Hotel Cafe and Sunday dinner, and we found new music. And these are all just events that happen there regularly. So I would go to those events and just do my best to start just making friends. And like, my opening line would usually be like, "Hey, I'm Jonathan. Nice to meet you. I'm here from Toronto for 2 weeks, and I'm just here to make friends and write songs and make records." Like that. That's what my opener would be, and then see where that would go. And then towards the end of my first week, I started to line up some more sessions and meetings. And by the time I left, I did 12 different sessions, and I did 4 different meetings with managers and such, and I did and several different events. Um, so yeah, but a lot of the session, like some of the sessions were me going to shows and these events and being like, we should do something. After a connection was established, and those worked out. Some DMs, um, excuse me, some DMs also ended up converting. And then I had when I arrived, I had some friends see me in LA from Toronto and be like, "Oh, you're in LA? You should talk to this person," and they helped like connect me with some people. Not all of those sessions or connections even materialized, but there were introductions at least. Um, it's Yeah, and the way that works is like people expect, I don't know what people expect, but like there is a lot of confusion around the business, or I was confused around the business before I started going to LA and everything. Like, how does it work? Like, do you get paid, or do you like, or how do you talk about business? Do you talk about business at all, or does that throw off the vibe? Or so I think what I learned is there seems to be an understanding that we get in on spec and we make dope shit. We make as good of music we can possibly make, and then and this is the kind of the mentality I continue here in Toronto. It's we'll make some shit, and the moment somebody decides that they want to exploit that recording, whether it be the artist or whether it be a publishing company, or whether whoever decides that they want to release the thing or exploit the masters or the songs, obviously, obviously there needs to be a transaction because you don't own the thing. So the idea is go and make as much music with as many people, make connections, and of those of all those sessions, um, the songs, the people will emerge as like, oh, I really want to release this. And then once someone says, I want to release this, it's like, okay, great. Let's have a conversation about what that looks like. You know, being flexible and being working with the people is important instead of like, this is my rate, pay this or see you later. Like, because again, like sacrificing on your rate to get a job in a market like LA, and they get a release, now the LA community around that artist is going to start to become aware of what you're doing. And so, you know, a lot of sacrifice and everything, but that was that like in terms of travel, like it's important. I'm going to be traveling more, and I'm going to be doing more, like the same approach that I took to LA, I'm gonna do in other places. Like I'm going to Dubai in January, and I'm gonna try to take the same approach and anywhere else I go. But yeah, for me, the traveling it was mostly LA. It wasn't travel in general. But that being said, I see the value of like if I go to Germany, I'm gonna do my best to set up some sessions, and then I'm gonna have at the very minimum some friends over there where like the next time I'm in town we can get a beer or we can do something, or maybe they introduce me to somebody or I introduce them to someone. And so you know it's and actually the other thing that's important about travel that has nothing to do with music is you are confronted with yourself and how you like are in uncomfortable situations, and you learn a lot about yourself. I certainly learned a lot about myself and learned a lot about the fear aspects of of this thing. I wasn't even aware of the fear that I was harboring in my nervous system and everything, but like it became clear to me. I was like, wow, okay. At the end of the trip, I was like, well, actually, I'll tell a story. There was a session with I got a session with a pretty big art, with probably the biggest artist that I have ever been in a room with. And I was excited about that. And I was like, this is exciting. And we're going to go in here. We're going to smash a song and it's going to be fucking great. Excuse my language. Um, we get in and it's really, really nice guy. The flow wasn't there. The flow wasn't there. And it's not anyone's fault. It just didn't connect. And I was feeling bad about that. I'm like, man, did I drop the ball, or did like this is, you know, this is the biggest artist I've been in a room with. I should be. I wish it went the way I wanted it to go. I wish it went well. But then I was thinking about that, and I was thinking, and I was like beating myself up about it. And then I realized, like, how I speak to myself. Like I didn't even realize that before. It seemed like the way I speak to myself often feels like just background noise. Feels like just you idiots. Look at you. You fucked that up again. Can't believe. Look at you screwing this up. I just thought that was me saying that to myself. And then I realized that I have control over those voices. And the more I allow those voices to dominate my inner dialogue, the more I'm keeping myself away from everything. And I realize how much I'm torturing myself every single day with these thoughts and being like, and the evidence proves otherwise. Like I'm doing well. I'm doing well. People really like what we're doing and feel connected to this thing, but I'm still. So, anyways, traveling, I find that was my personal growth experience from that had nothing to do with music. It was wow, I'm terrified, and I'm was too afraid to admit that I was terrified. And you get imposter syndrome too. Like I thought I was gonna be immune to imposter syndrome. People talk about imposter syndrome, like, bitch, me, dude, I'm no imposter. I feel great about what I can do. I'm confident in my ability to be a musician. I'm confident in my ability to be a producer and a songwriter. I'm confident. And then you go to LA and everybody there is doing what you're doing and you're not special. And you're like, oh man, oh dude. Like, and I don't have a community there. I have a community here. And so, you can be someone in your little community, but when you're no one, it's like, you get confronted with those thoughts. Anyways, that's a long, very long answer.
No, no, but that's great. No, and the most important thing that I'm getting from this as well is how you are, promoting yourself, how you're connecting, how you're, making moves without a
Right.
manager. Because I think some
Right.
of the
Right.
some of the biggest misconceptions about music is like, oh yeah, I'm not getting gigs because I just don't have a manager. And the first thing
Yeah.
they're trying to look for is like, okay, I have 3 songs out. Let's look for a manager. That's what I need. But that's not true, right? Like,
Well, that's interesting you bring that up because I have been victim to that mentality too. I used to be like, man, if I just had a manager. This is actually something I realized this last week. Like, and it's obvious. I am a manager. I am a manager. I'm managing my career and I unofficially manage some of the other artists that I'm producing, like not in a full management capacity, but as a guidance capacity, like a mentorship capacity. I always tell everybody that I'm working with, like, listen, if you have any questions or if you want to bounce any ideas off of me, like unofficial manager, I have too much on my plate to be your manager, but like I'm interested in the music industry. I'm interested in breaking. I'm interested in finding in the journey of finding success. And anybody who's interested in that, I'm interested in talking to. But like, and the thing about a manager is like it's obvious, but you need to attract one because like if you go and get one, like you don't have the leverage. You need somebody like a manager to me needs to be somebody who's as passionate as you are about like your biggest fan, someone who believes in you and isn't just blowing smoke up your ass. It's like what you know what you actually have something really really special, and I think I can help. Like that. Like if you're trying to find a manager, I've been trying to find a manager. Let me tell you something. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. It's like at least in my experience, I've had some meetings in LA. I did 4 meetings with managers. I've done some meetings here in Toronto with managers. And, as much as I would love a manager to offload some duties, it's like the vibes weren't right. It was like, you don't understand what I'm trying to do. And that's okay. That's all right. A lot of the managers I was talking to was like, this is how you're going to make more money. This is how you're going to do this. You need to cut this person out. You need to, okay. You don't see what I'm trying to do here. I understand you need to make money, and me making the most money is going to make you the most money. But you have to see the vision. If you don't see the vision of what I'm doing, because I'm not interested in just being a producer. Like I'm interested in building a brand. I'm interested as long as I'm a producer, I'm going to be a contractor for the rest of my life. And that might be great. I might get some royalties on some big songs and be good. But I'm interested in building a brand. I'm interested in building a culture. I'm interested in building a community and lifting others up alongside me as I continue to rise. And if you're going to be a manager and you're going to say, see these people that you are a part of your community, I think we can cut them loose. No, thank you. Sure, I might make some more money, but I'm going to burn some bridges. No, thank you. So like once it gets to the point where it's like it's clear, the vision is clear as day for everybody because like that's all of our struggle. Like whether you're a songwriter, a producer, an artist, an entrepreneur, visionary in any capacity, it's like being able to illustrate your vision. Because most people are not going to see it. I remember before, like I got this studio, people, I was working out of my mom's basement, and people would judge. People would be like, you know, He's turning 27, 28, and he's in his mom's basement. Like, but it's like, listen, listen, listen. You guys don't get it, and that's okay. That's all right. You just don't see the vision. I'm gonna do what I can, and then the moment I got the studio and put everything in here, some of those people started to see it a little bit more, and then they started to come around, and be like, "Oh, this might be actually working for you," or whatever it is. But like, uh, the goal is anybody who's going to be as close to you as a manager or as um a very close collaborator. um they need to see it, and you cannot be convincing them. You cannot convince them of the vision. You cannot convince them of how it's going to be great. They have to, if they don't see it, it's not going to work. If they see it, then we can have a conversation, see how maybe we can work together or whatever. But like, there's no convincing. Convincing is also like in any capacity. Whenever I find myself trying to convince anybody, even when it comes to making music, even though I consider myself a professional, I'm like, if I'm convincing someone why something is the right way or the wrong way, I've already lost because it's not my job to convince. We haven't gone far enough, obviously. We need to just like coming back to music. We need to work on the song until everyone's like, fuck yeah, about this thing. Like, not, let me tell you why you should be very excited about this. Trust me. It's like they have ears, they can hear. If they're not jumping up and down, there's either some misunderstanding or something's going on here. But at the end of the day, everyone's got to be jumping up and down. And if I'm convincing somebody of anything, I've already lost. So that's my spiel about convincing.
Of course,
Oh,
and at the end, what you're doing, you're playing like the long run game, and I think that's
yeah,
what's really gonna be important because you're not like in a rush of making it right now. You're actually like building
exactly.
your a solid foundation for your career, right?
Yeah,
I mean, and that's is working great for you, like and it's
absolutely.
the best thing is it's in a genuine way because you're also supported and you're lean on your own values, right? So it's
Yes.
like a combination of of
Well,
multiple.
another thing that's important about building a brand, whether it be your business or just a personal, like whatever, like I heard Suno AI the other day. I don't know if you guys know about this. It's incredible. AI is now at the level where it's just as good as the best producers. So the thing is not how technically proficient are you, how great are you at the thing you do. It's your taste. It's like if you're gonna try to compete with AI based on your level, it's gonna play piano better than you. Um, it's going to flesh out an arrangement of a thing better than you. It's gonna do anything that you can do better than you. So you showing having taste and conviction in your vision is the thing. We're all gonna be alongside AI, which is why the personal brand thing is so important. It's like people need to like you and your taste and what you're doing because that's the only thing that you have, That's like everything else is a commodity at this point. Like the way you hear music and the way that you uh feel like you need to express your creativity is the only thing that is yours. And as a collective, if you're working in a collaboration setting, but that's the thing that's the most important because as long as you're doing that, you're going to be fine. But it's not like I think everybody needs to understand that AI in terms of skill and technical proficiency, it's as good as the best in the game in terms of like making something sound good. So making something sound good is now the entry point. Like you need to get your skills to a point where you can make something sound professional, and then you can start playing the game. But before it's on that level, like like we need to be refining our skills to that point. And as you do it, you naturally refine your taste and everything like that. But taste and personal brand, that's the thing. And no matter what you're doing, if you're making records, if you're making movies, if you're a carpenter and you're making tables, or if you're starting a law firm, whatever the thing is, it's about you and your take on this thing. So that's my AI spiel.
No, of course, and the best thing as well. Like you're busy, you're doing this every day, all day, and some people are also can get confused because they're like, oh, but he doesn't have that many followers maybe on his Instagram, right?
Mm,
So it's like
mm.
that's another topic that is really interesting, because followers don't always mean work, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Like you can have there are producers that have much less. I have like 1900 followers. I know producers that have less than 1,000 followers that are even busier than I am. Like especially in the role of like. However, I do stand behind what I said about the personal brand thing. I think it's important to build a personal brand unless all you want to do is be a contractor and produce. But yeah, followers and your social media is it's just I view it as a communication vehicle to express who you are, and then and to broadcast that, and then those who are in alignment with who you are naturally going to be attracted to you, and they're going to come to you, and opportunities will come your way through that. But followers, like I have 1900 followers, I certainly don't have 1900 clients. um you know like the followers thing, see okay, followers and money and recognition and awards and um, any form of results or outcome to me seems to just be a consequence of effectively and consistently communicating who you are. Let me explore that a little bit because it can be very simple, but um, and maybe we've already done that a little bit, but like if I'm like some of the content, I'm certainly not a professional content creator, but I've realized what's been working for me. What I realize what's working for me is people like me. At least the people that like me like me. Like when we're doing sessions, all the artists that are regulars, and even the ones that come in from time to time, they enjoy spending time with me in the studio. They enjoy the way we do what we do. Not just the fact that we make music. It's the way we make music and the way we make people feel comfortable and the way we do that. And there's no strategy. The way we do that is by just being ourselves. And for me, like it's just being willing to be open and vulnerable with an artist and in my way with my mannerisms and my the way that I am. So I found that I need to be broadcasting the way that I am. So I have this thing, this like camera, um, that I kind of just leave up here on the desk. Oh wait, turn it off. Um, I'll leave on the desk, and oftentimes at the end of a session, I'll ask an artist if they want to do a quick cover or something, and we'll just. Can you hear the piano? Anyways, it doesn't matter. That's probably for the best. So we'll do a cover, but we won't try to get it. I'll let the camera roll, and if there's a take where even we fuck up, but there's a funny moment and we react to it in person, it's like allowing people to know what it's like to be in your presence. And if that's attractive to them, they will, they'll gravitate towards you in whatever you're doing. Like I said earlier, if you're gonna fucking make tables or records or movies or whatever it is, it's like I like that guy or I like that girl. And this funny like um uh example I bring up is there's this girl on social media. She's an influencer, and I have no business following this girl. She just does girl shit. She's like fucking making videos about get ready with me, listen to my uh boy drama, whatever. I have work to be doing. But I notice sometimes I will take, and maybe I've said this to you, but maybe I mean there have been times where I catch myself watching a 20-minute YouTube video by this influencer who I have no connection with, that has no business. I have no business really watching. tell me about her boy drama and the makeup she uses. I'm not interested in these things, but I like her for some reason that I'm now watching her videos when I should be editing or some stupid shit. So like that I took that as a lesson of like I just like her. It doesn't matter what she's doing. Obviously, if I was a girl, I'd probably be buying her products or whatever she's selling. But like, I like this girl and I like the way she is, and I voluntarily spend my time watching her sometimes, you know?
Yeah.
And some other people too, but like so this is the idea of being yourself and broadcasting who you are and being comfortable with that because that's the thing. And then obviously be great at your craft so you can sell a record or something, but that's
Yeah,
the thing.
absolutely. Thank you. Yeah, that's a great view. We have two questions actually in the chat.
Oh, I
So
see it in the chat.
before we
Yeah.
wrap up, so one of it is that Daphne doesn't know when to stop working on a project. Like, how do you know when a song
Right.
is finished? Like, what's your approach?
Okay, yeah, that's a great question. Let me see. One thing that nice to meet you too. How do you know when the track's finished? One thing that happens to me is that I don't know when to stop improving. I can be working on projects for months. Okay, so I think the most important thing here is understanding what the North Star of the project is, because this is something that I've learned and had lots of growth with over the last year or 2 years. It's there can be so many things that sound good. There can be, but just because something sounds good doesn't mean it's the right decision. If if the goal of the song is to be, this is the subject matter and I want to make it feel this way. Uh, okay, cool. If that's what I want to do, then I have to make sure all of the decisions I'm making are in alignment with that North Star, with the this is what we set out to do. We set out to make this, and sometimes you discover it as you start making music. It kind of transforms and takes on a life of its own and becomes a new thing you didn't anticipate. But once you identify, okay, this is this kind of song and it should be doing this. Um, like that's I find myself I consider myself a finisher. I'm really good at finishing songs. My process is usually after like I try all the ideas. And once I have no more ideas, usually I'm like, this is pretty much good. But that doesn't mean I can't have more ideas. It like you just need to check whether the ideas that you've done that sound great are working towards the end goal. And if they're not, then you can be like, this is not it. Also, space. Like this is something I realized. Like space. Like I know for myself. Like we make music for people. We don't make music for producers or musicians. But as a musician myself, when I hear a song, sometimes I'm like, oh, you know what they should have done? They should have done this and they should have done that. That's a good thing. That created inspiration within me as a producer. So, um, making sure that you don't over saturate your productions and taking up all the space. Like if you give them like the goal of art, in my opinion, is to allow a listener to have an experience of themselves. And if they get to have ideas of music or lyrics or or even just visuals in their mind or whatever, that's kind of allowing them to have their own experience. And if you're filling every space with some cool shot or some cool chord or some fast riff or whatever, you're kind of imposing yourself upon the listener and you're not allowing them to have their own experience. And it can come like when I was more immature, it would be like, well, this is boring, there's too much space here and like it would be more cool. It's like, okay, I make in that case, that's cool, but I have to understand I'm making a song for me, which means an audience of one, not people. So finishing songs, the most important thing is the North Star. And then the second most important thing is trying the ideas that feel in alignment with that. And once there are no more, pack it up.
Yeah, that's a good one. Thank you so much. And last question by Borja that
Hmm.
he had similar experience. I remember he told me about him traveling to LA. Maybe you can read the question, see what.
Yeah, 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 for sure. I have one question. Thanks for the question. I have one question. The LA story resonated with me as I'm also coming to LA in November. Very nice to have some sessions, meet people, do networking. I like what I do, but I also know really well that there's always room to improve. How do you handle the fear of being in the studio and thinking of not being enough, and by being surrounded by really good people or feeling something like your studio session with the big. Okay, um, okay, very good question. Um, being honest is like really important. Like, be like, hey, I have this idea I think is really cool. What do you guys think? Like essentially the idea is to be like for me, whenever I'm gonna do a writing camp or if I'm gonna go to LA to do a bunch of writing sessions or anything like that, like the goal, while it would be amazing to leave every session with an amazing song, the goal is actually to be the best collaborator I can be, because that might not result in the best song that session, but that's the best way for me to build a relationship, for me to have another session in the future which might be able to come up with a better song. You might nail it the first go around and having a really good song, but essentially like know your strengths, know your weaknesses, spend time with the collaborators before you dive into make music and just get to know one another a little bit. Ask them about what they're interested in, what they consider their strengths to be, and figure out how you can work well together. But really, just being honest, but like, um, be, and being confident in what you know you're good at. If you're not amazing at drum production, maybe you can even just say that, like I'm a killer on the keyboard. But with the drums, I kind of struggle. Anyone hears, like really just being honest and open about it, because like that's the thing. It's like the best music is not the music that's made by the most talented people. Sometimes that happens to be the case, but it's music music is about life and about connection. So you must experience life and have connections in order to make good music. Um, so you also, this is a good thing. You know that there's always room to improve. The moment that stops happening, it's over. You have to be a student of the game. You have to always understand that there's more to go, and you can continually be better. And that's, if you know that, you're naturally going to be honest. You're naturally going to be a good collaborator. You're naturally not going to come in thinking, I know what I'm doing. Y'all should listen to me. Listen, let me show you. Like, no, dude, no. And then being able to acknowledge in a room when you happen to be the strongest, and being considerate, and being a good collaborator even in those situations, and allowing people to have all the ideas that they have, and not being judgmental, and not being any of these things, and encouraging them, and guiding it and all that kind of stuff. So, and with the artists that I spoke about that kind of had the session flopped, like it had nothing to do with a lack of confidence in my ability. It was just like this session isn't clicking and we're not connecting, and that's frustrating, because I know the moment you like we have a song and you put me behind the computer or on a keyboard, like I'm confident we can take this all the way. But that was more of a okay, this human to human connection is not really locking right now. So that's kind of what that experience was. And the enough thing, like, we all fight that. We all fight that. And just be excited about what you're doing.
Yeah, that's the best advice. Thank you so
Yeah.
much. I mean, I don't think this hour could be any better with
Well, thank you for having me.
all the insights, and thank you so much for being vulnerable as well and sharing your personal experience.
Of
And I think
course.
this everyone can relate, and we all feel similar ways about things. And loving your philosophy, man. Like music at the end is super important, and without music there's no music business, right?
Exactly.
So
Exactly. No, no, thank you. Thank you for having me. And listen, if anybody has any further questions, feel free to, reach out to me on Instagram.
yes,
Um,
follow Jonathan, please. Keep,
I'm
keep him
happy to
supported
help.
as well with some good comments over there. But his
Yeah,
content is
yeah.
actually really good as well. I love it.
Thank you, thank you. But I'm interested in learning about more creators and listening to you guys' music and everything. So if you want to share your music, or if you want to just chat a little bit, it's been an honor to have the chance to spend the afternoon with you guys. And if you guys have any questions, I'm more than happy to. to help wherever I can.
Thank you, Jonathan. Yeah, I'm not gonna take more of your time. Again,
All
grateful
right, guys.
for you being here, and I'm sure everyone had great insights.
I'm
Okay,
glad. I'm grateful to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
thank you so much. Have a great day.
All right,
Bye
take
bye.
care.